So welcome to the AMATYC 2019 webinar series. And today's presentation is preparing your great ideas for Milwaukee with the conference committee. And I am John Oakes, the AMATYC Midwest Region Vice President, and I will be your host for the webinar today. So please note that the views expressed by the presenter are not necessarily the views of AMATYC, and any commercial products mentioned by the presenters are not necessarily endorsed by AMATYC. And AMATYC is proud to have McGraw-Hill Higher Education as the supporter of the 2019 AMATYC webinar series. And now I am going to toss it over to the conference committee and Judy Williams. So I will pass it over to you, Judy, and I can see your slides and everything looks great, I think, except it's sort of a little bit large, but that might just be on my screen. It might just be my screen.
Okay. I assume I am no longer muted. Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Yes, we are here to talk about how to get your proposal ready for Milwaukee. And I am Judy Williams. I have retired within the last year from Tidewater Community College. And my email, if you have other questions later, is programcoordinator@amatyc.org. John C. recently, at which I was given a jigsaw puzzle with math all over it, and unfortunately in retirement I have not yet had time to sit home and do that. So I want to give a few minutes to the new members of our program team, or trio as Julie Gunkelman used to call the group, and so we'll let Tim and Natalie tell you about themselves.
Good afternoon, I'm Tim Britt. I'm the Assistant Program Coordinator for AMATYC. I teach at Jackson State Community College. I've been teaching for 21 years, just in the middle of my 21st year actually. And I've been a member of AMATYC for about 12 years now, I think. And I'm going to be one of the team. And you can see my email hopefully on the screen. There it is, programassist@amatyc.org, in case you need any assistance.
Hi everyone, I'm Natalie Vega Rhodes. I'm the Assistant Conference Coordinator, and I hail from Kingwood, Texas. I have been teaching for, I guess, about 10 years now, and I was the previous advertising chair, and I've moved up to Assistant Conference Coordinator. So we're looking forward to getting your questions answered and helping you prepare a great proposal for Milwaukee.
Okay. What have I done? Sorry. Please get these dates on your calendar so that you'll have the time available to get to Milwaukee. I have been to Milwaukee, and it is a great place. You're going to have a great time when you come to the conference this November. But if you want to be on the program, the first thing you have to do is get your proposal submitted, and then it's reviewed by the program committee. And we do want to give you hints. We may have some time at the end that we could talk about individual questions, about individual proposal ideas you might have, but if not, please use those emails and talk to us individually. I'm always glad to give suggestions and advice. This program review committee, some people say, well, who reads this? What happens to the proposal I put in? Well, we have a fairly large group, at-large regional appointees that have 3-year terms, academic committee chairs, and the AMATYC network leaders are reading your proposals. We have representatives from Orlando, Milwaukee, and Spokane who will also be looking at your proposals. And then Tim, Natalie, and I will do that. And what we're looking for is how useful will they be to mathematics faculty, how practical to implement, potential for use, will you be engaging your attendees and have activities going on? And when we do our job, we work individually and give online reviews during the month of February. That February is very important because your deadline that we'll keep reminding you about all afternoon is your proposal has to be submitted by February 1st, 2019, no exceptions. So now, how do you create your proposal? Well, let's walk together through the submission form, and I'll point a few things out to you. You can find this whole form using the link or go to the AMATYC homepage, and you might want to print out a copy of that form and fill a lot of things in a Word document first and then cut and paste. But let's look at what you're going to encounter. The first thing you'll be asked for is personal information. Notice it says first presenter. If some other folks are working with you, you'll also fill in their information at this point. Please make it complete for us so we don't have to come back to you and ask you about, what school or where's your school located, or down here, can we put your email address? Notice that yes is the default, but please, make sure that all this information is filled in. And if you're doing it for other people in your group, make sure you have everything complete for those folks too, please. Then, the information about your presentation, you're going to give us a title and a 50-word summary. Notice it says that you get 70 characters, including spaces, for your title, and that your 50-word summary is what goes in the program, and it is limited to 50 words, and we're giving you a little bit of English. Don't use I or we or my or our, but second or third person. So that's about title and summary for your presentation. Now this title, try to catch attention with it, avoid the first person again. Consider putting the conference theme in, but, and I'll say another word about that in a minute, you still want that title to convey some of what you're going to talk about. So here are a couple examples. Are they good, are they bad, or are they ugly? So we'll talk through these first. Look at that first one. How long is it? Well, I used to count the letters and the spaces until I learned about word count in Word document. And I can show you that. Okay. If you are in Word, right up here, click on Review, and then you get the option for word count. If you've never used it before, you highlight what you want to know about it. Here's my first title. Now, I did actually leave in this space and parentheses and a 1, but notice down here, this says that with those spaces, I have 218 characters. I think I'm a little bit over. Right? So use this word count to get your words in your summary and also your title information. Those other examples we were showing you, here's that word I. It shows up so many times for us. That would be a good title if you could just, helping students learn to love math instead of how I help my students. Then I tried to get some Milwaukee ideas in here. Where's the cheese to go with some beer while we discuss some great ideas? If that was the title and that was all I saw, I'm not sure I'd know what in the world was going on. We're going to sit around and talk and have a good time, I guess. And then number 4 is a problem because I said Connect Math, and I said WebAssign, and I said Math Lab. Those are commercial products. John already mentioned that if we talked about commercial products in this webinar, that we were not endorsing products. Well, we don't want to do that in our conference presentations either, because all of these companies have these products, and they are exhibitors and they have commercial sessions, and we don't want to promote other people's products. So there are ways to, you can talk about online homework systems and be generic about it. Your emphasis should be on teaching and what your students will learn from it, but not endorsing a specific product. So we'll skip over the word count and the 50-word summary. Again, maximum, use it to create some interest and entice people to come to your presentation. Now, we're going to let you practice this a little bit, and this is where the polling is going to come in. So I'm going to put a proposal title and summary on the screen for you. Think about what we've already talked about, and then John's going to give you the opportunity to vote a yes or no. If you have a really good comment about what you see on the screen, you could put it in the Q&A, and we'll share some if we have time. So here's your first example. I'll give you a couple minutes to read through and then do your voting. Are we voting? Because I can't see anything from here.
Yes, the poll should be open now. So if you can't see the poll, please actually just, okay, so some of you are not seeing all of the slide, it seems like. Or is it that you can't see the poll? Because okay, so I see one person says, I just found it, so that's good. But it seems like we have about 52% of the vote in right now. So I can give it another minute if you would like to. Okay, so why don't I end the poll then, if that's okay? Unless anyone says that they need more time here. Okay, so let's see. So here are the results of the poll number 1. Let's see, 93% would accept, and well, these numbers don't add up, but 14% would actually not accept.
Okay, and those of you who said no, is it a length issue? Because I think that this meets all our requirements, unless I've missed a count in here somewhere. Okay, because the title gets interest in what's going on, and then you're told what you're going to do if you attend this session. So those concepts are good. You want to be sure to use those. Let's take a look at number 2.
So, Judy, it seems like some attendees cannot see the entire slide, and I actually can't see it on mine either, but I thought that it might just be my computer. So I don't know if, can you see the whole slide on your screen, Judy?
Yes, I can. I'm not sure how to, if I try to minimize the slide, I'm going to go out of the presentation, correct?
Yes, but
let's see here.
Because I can't actually see the title. Maybe it's green, the option that says screen down there. Oh, nope, that's not it.
Nope.
Oh, well, no, it might be the ratio.
Title. Okay, the title is How to Flip a Lesson Using Excel Spreadsheets. If that helps.
Well, that didn't do it. Okay, yep, I did not start the poll yet because I was waiting for everyone to hear the title. So here we go for poll number 2 here. And it looks like, let's see, I'll give everyone a minute longer to look over the poll and vote here, since it, or at least a few more seconds, and then I will read out the results here. All right, it looks like they're still coming in. So maybe if you have any comments as to why you voted yes or no, or accept or not accept, you can put them in the chat now. And then I will read out the results here. So it looks like everyone who wanted to vote has voted, since the results are. And so there, yeah, one no title, yes. So would you accept this proposal, how to flip a lesson using Excel spreadsheet? So 9% said yes, accept, and 91% said no, not accept. So those results should be on your screen right now, but this time it did add up to 100%. So, I mean, that's the good part about this proposal here.
Okay, now I'm curious, those of you who said no, is anybody written in the Q&A about why you thought no?
In the chat, one was rather dull, and it sounds like an interesting topic, but abstract is really wordy and doesn't know what's going to happen in the session.
Okay, those are very good comments. You could put some more information in there about what you will actually have people do in the session. Probably a good idea for this. The Excel spreadsheets, I put that in the title because I wanted to emphasize that even though we're always telling you not to use commercial references, there are some products that are actually free. So Google, Desmos, people used to want to use GeoGebra all the time. If there's no cost to get it and use it, it's fine to mention it. And then also, any part of the Word Microsoft Office package, we don't really consider that to be a commercial product. So if someone put Excel in here, we wouldn't really get too upset about that, although you certainly get the same idea by just saying spreadsheets. Okay. But thanks for the good feedback. The next one, if you couldn't see this one, we're probably going to have real trouble. Well, the title, though, gets its very own slide.
So for this one, I did launch the poll early so that you could see the title of the presentation in the poll here. Right. So the title happens to be in the poll question also. And some people have voted right now without seeing the abstract yet, but I won't comment on that any further either.
The abstract follows the same pattern as the title.
Judy, we have a great question from Marlo, which is, if the abstract is well written, but the title needs revision, will the presenter be notified to revise and resubmit?
That is a great question. For accepted proposals, not only do you get a, yes, we want you to speak, but you also get a copy of the title and the summary. So if there had to be a few edits made, you're also told to look very closely at that and check to make sure that you agree with anything that we may have edited. Doesn't say that we did, but you're asked to check because it may have been edited for shortening or grammar or something else. Or if there's more that we want to change, we'll get in touch with you during the final review process too. That can happen. So John, how's the voting going here?
Let's see. I will end the poll, and then, well, hopefully it will let me share the results here. So 8% said yes, they would accept the proposal, and 92% said no, they would not accept the proposal.
Okay, and of course there's some use of we in the summary, but the big issue here would be the length of this. And it might be a good idea if you could edit it down to be specific about what you wanted to say and how the time would actually be used. So thanks for participating and helping us out there and making some really good comments. And once you put in your title on that submission form, once you put in your title and your summary, you're also going to be asked to choose some focus keys, up to 3 of them. Okay? And there's a description of each of them, and there will be a drop down where you can pick from this list a first choice and a second or a third if you want them. The more information you can give us, this helps people know more about what you want to talk about, what your focus is going to be on. Also, it helps us as we're trying to place the talks in the conference schedule themselves. We try to avoid duplicating areas, subjects at the same hour, and the more detailed and drilled down you can be with your focus key choices, the better off we are in being there, the more helpful it is to us. So this list will be in the submission site. You can take a look and decide what works for you. Also on the form, the goals and outcomes for your presentation. How can your information be used? Okay. And then a description of your style. How are you going to use the time? What are you going to do to involve people? If you do choose the 2-hour workshop format, please be specific about how that time is needed, why it's needed, how it'll be used. What we found during the years is conference attendees do not want to devote 2 hours to something where they're not really going to be engaged in something that's of extreme interest to them. So please be as specific as you can. There's a few other details here we'll get to in a minute about your equipment. And when you select that, also this is a good place to tell us how you want to use it, why you need it. Down here on the bottom of my slide, if you can see, it says we got to tell you about presentation formats. Okay, and that's choose the type of presentation you want to make. There are descriptions. When you're on the submission site, there's going to be a drop-down menu, and also there's a link to give you what all choices are for the presentation slides, but we're going to look at them in more detail today. But what you will see on the web is a drop-down menu to choose from, plus another document that you can look at to get descriptions, where it says click here. Okay. So this looks a little different. You will just see a Word document with a table in it with all of this information on one page. But your format options, you can be in the chat and chew as table talks. Some people have referred to it as mathematical speed dating, because you get a table where you're going to talk to people, rings, and people will move to a different table. Because you are around a table set for 10, you might have a partner with you, but no more than 2 people. And then we rotate, And because you are rotating from table to table, we don't provide any equipment for that. Then these are more the traditional types of talks, I think. You can have, well, our 25-minute mini sessions that we started last year got some really good reviews, so we're going to repeat it again. So it's 25 minutes. You're in the same room with another speaker, a 5-minute break in between. You do not have to collaborate with the other person. Sometimes we find two topics that really look like they might go together well, but still be separate. You can have your computer projector. All the other equipment options are possible there. If you notice the asterisk by computer projector down here at the bottom, I put this in yellow to call your attention to it. AMATYC does not provide the computers for you. You have to bring your own laptop to connect to the projector. Everybody's welcome to have a projector, but you have to bring the laptop. So you can have the 25-minute sessions, 50-minute sessions, or that 2-hour workshop that I mentioned. And the longer, 50 minutes and 2 hours, can have up to 4 people presenting, which is where you'll see on the initial pages when you go to the submission form that you can have presenter 1, presenter 2, stop at 2 if you're doing chat and chew, but you can put up to 4 people in for these formats. And then also we have poster session, which Natalie is going to tell us about.
So a poster session is basically where you can showcase your research and programs, and you can also set it up early so that folks walking around the conference can take a look at it. And then during set times of the conference, you can converse with attendees one-on-one. And so you can see on this screen here that you can have a max of 2 presenters, but again, we don't provide any equipment for this because it's intended to be a dialogue type of a deal. So Judy, if you can go to the next slide. So some of the changes that we have for this year are, this is not going to be a trifold. And so you can see at the very far right, I've drawn this like no trifold through it. Because what it's going to look like is something similar to the picture on the left. It's going to be a 2-foot by 3-foot foam board that's portrait orientation. And so you guys as presenters, once accepted, will be responsible for supplying all display materials and handouts. And of course, that does mean that no electrical support or internet connections are available in the area. That being said, somebody had mentioned in the chat earlier about being in project access and really interested in any project access fellow information on specific information on the posters as well. Judy, I think that covers it for me, unless I've forgotten to say something. I think I got it.
I think you got everything there. Thank you. And now that topic of equipment, you get to choose. Notice that it does say to skip this question if you are putting in a chat and chew table talk or a poster. Please skip. Otherwise, you can get at most 2 of these items, the computer projector. Now, see audio interface right here? That says it's for your computer if you are going to play video or other apps. That is for the computer to hook into. If a room has more than 80 seats in it, and that's a piece of information you actually get on your invitation letter, how big a room you're in. But if there are more than 80 seats in there, then there is a microphone at a podium. We do not provide cordless mics or the lavalier mics for you to walk around. Teacher voices can be important. Or use that microphone if you're soft-spoken. Make sure people can hear you. And another point, I can't say this enough, the evaluations I get back are, if people in your group ask you a question, please repeat it for everybody before you answer it. Probably don't need to do that in a classroom all the time because it's a small group, but in these rooms you really need to. Computer projector only. Sometimes we do have small rooms that don't have that extra sound amplification possible. So if you don't need to amplify, you could just choose that one. And then the active internet, it's only for the presenter. We have been very fortunate the past few conferences that there is a Wi-Fi connection for attendees in the conference center. but that connection is not a wide enough bandwidth to rely upon it for showing videos or doing other things in your presentation. So if you are going to do that, then tell us why you need it when you talk about your presentation, and choose the active internet connection for the speaker, and it'll be a hardwired connection. Or sometimes you want people to be involved and do work on the premises and show it off with a whiteboard. That is a possibility too. But again, let us know why you need it, why it's really important to you. And then we don't do the laptop computers, I've already said, or in days past, people were bringing calculator sets and other things, but we do not provide any of those things. Okay. Items that get often overlooked on that presentation submission form, make sure that your goals and your use of time reflect the type of format you selected. Don't tell us that you're going to do lengthy activities if you're at the chat and chew table or doing a poster. Okay? The workshop, again, justify that need for the time. What will you be doing? Okay, how will you involve people? And why do you need the equipment? So repeating some of those things again for you. And then, again, remember that submission deadline, February 1st, 2019. No late proposals are accepted. So please remember that. And I think now it is time for you to ask us questions. So put them in the Q&A, and someone will read them aloud, so they'll be in the recording, and then we'll all try answers. There may have been some there already. Natalie already mentioned one, and we've answered it.
But I do see one that was in the chat about, let's see, is this a time that you can address your ideas for a presentation? I'm guessing if you want to go ahead and put your idea in the chat or in a Q&A, some feedback could be given.
And also, while you're thinking about types of proposals, some things that keep popping up and comments that we get, if you can back up what you're doing with some research, or if it's something that's got a few years of results and data, that makes it more likable, although we really like new ideas too. But I always get comments and evaluations about, I wish that we could hear from these folks again after they've done this for more than one semester or two.
So there is a question in the Q&A now. So I clicked the, oh, you know what? I clicked the answer live button. So I don't know if that means the question is read out of, or if, oh, that means it's going to be read out loud instead of a typed answer. So the question was, for easel poster sessions, is there no table for presenters to have handouts, or are handouts discouraged?
Natalie?
So
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was getting ready to type a response to Anne in the Q&A. So you can definitely bring handouts. I don't think we will have tables, but you can probably put it on the easel as well with your poster. And so Anne did have a question, and I'm not sure if you answered this one, Judy, but are there any topics that are so overused or more likely not to be selected? And first, let me make sure, did I answer your question? Who was that answered that? Claire, did I answer your question?
Okay. Topics we're looking for. Things go in cycles. I know that a very popular topic these days involves equity, diversity, inclusion. dealing with students with special needs also. So if you have experiences or things you want to share there, someone requested in their evaluations that actually they would love to have a discussion on equity that gave some basic definitions so we could all start from the same place, if that's something of interest to you. Again, the one topic that everybody loved last year, and I'm sure we'll still want more discussions, what is happening in your lives at your schools about co-requisite courses? People are looking for more sharing about that.
And Judy, related to this question, Eric has also asked, have you had many proposals in the past on the history of logarithms? This is an interesting topic to me that would benefit those attending.
I think that would be interesting. I'm smiling because a couple years ago, our VMATIC had a discussion about slide rules, and I was surrounded by younger people saying, these things are cool. I didn't know they work like this. Let me play with that. And those of us of certain ages were talking about taking our course before we took calculus so we'd know how to use our slide rules. But I think that would be of interest. People do like things about history, mathematics, that sort of thing.
Okay, great. I noticed there are no more questions open in the Q&A, but if there are any more, please feel free to send them now or put them in the chat room. But I do feel like we have tried to address all of them here. Okay, so there may be one more from Marlo, who is typing up the question right now, but does anyone else happen to have anything else that they would like to ask today?
I do have a comment on the focus keys and putting them on your proposals. I'm looking for my focus key list. The ones about the instructional technology, this involving strategies, those are used by a whole lot of people. So if you can drill down to what class, what course, what topics you're using those things for, it really helps us make a decision and give people the ability to choose what you're talking about.
Judy, we have another question. I'm curious how many proposals you typically get and how many are accepted. And also related, I'm curious on the decision to submit poster proposals at the same time as regular proposals.
Okay, let me do everything at the same time first. We just wanted to make sure that nobody felt second class or left out. And posters, my husband always said to me, why do you do posters later? He said, those are the most popular things at the meetings I go to because that lets you actually talk one-on-one with people. That should be everybody's first choice of what to present. So we just wanted everything in at the same time. It also helps our office staff and the publications in getting the app ready because everything is there at the beginning. It also lets us make sure that we're including as many different people doing as many things as possible. So it's got lots of reasons for it. We're going to see how it works out and get some feedback on it, of course, this year. Then the other question, Natalie, refresh my memory.
How many proposals we typically get and how many are accepted. So 2 parts.
Okay, so how many do we get? 300 to 350. The lowest I've ever seen was about 275. We tend to take about 50 to 60% of the ones that come in. Half of those, a third to half, come from new speakers. We really like to include new people, but also those of you who have presented before, we're always glad to have you back too. Some of you like to come in and expand again on what you've done in the past, which is also a good idea.
I do think that Beverly made a very good comment in the chat, though, about remembering that every proposal is acknowledged by a receipt, and so do contact Beverly and in the office if you did not receive any sort of confirmation that you submitted a proposal at all.
And Marlo now has written a suggestion or a question about the proposal. So the idea is, new California legislation is now allowing students to advance the transfer level courses without having to take developmental courses. My division would like to study the relationship between the magnitude that students level up and the likelihood of passing the courses they enroll into. This would involve a quantitative study. Is this topic worthy of a presentation at this conference?
I think it would be worthy, but it would need some
and
data.
Marlo is claiming it. That's my topic. No one else take it.
I mean, there are other places trying the same sorts of things, so I'm sure you get lots of interest. If you haven't really conducted the study and collected a lot of data yet, you might just put in a session about calling for other folks experiencing the same thing just to share and brainstorm things. But our reviewers tend to want to see support. If there's a study, something new going on, how long's it been going on? What are the results?
And it looks like Tina Ragsdale says that they've been doing this a while and have some data, so maybe that'd be also, you know, a good idea to collaborate or just get some feedback on if you're interested. Oh, Marlo asked if you could say that again. You were breaking up. Or was that directed at Natalie, or was that directed at Judy? Oh, me. Sorry. Tina, is this better? Cool. Tina Ragsdale has just said that she's been doing this a while and has some data, so maybe you guys could collaborate.
Yeah, so I actually do like that idea there. And oh, it looks like there's one more question in the chat from Tina.
So Tina's question is, are you getting lots of proposals on active learning? I was considering putting a workshop together on active learning activities for algebra and stats, and Marlo and Tina look like they've exchanged emails. So hooray, making connections, yay. So Judy, if you want to take that question, workshop on active learning for algebra and stats.
Workshop, yes, if it's really going to involve people. We did have some comments about a couple of sessions this past year that were 50 minutes, and folks really wish they had been able to get more hands-on. So that probably is a good idea.
And I guess if you don't mind me chiming in here, if you want to maybe just have a discussion about what's happening in different states around the country, you could maybe have a chat and chew about what's going on in different states around the country and what different colleges are doing, and it could be a nice time to try to get some more networking done as well at the at the smaller table conversations. Okay, well, are there any other questions or comments here? Oh, there's one in the Q&A. Oh, and Eric says, I just want to say thanks to all of you for the information. It was very useful.
And let me just share a suggestion that's been tossed around about workshops. Some folks are thinking about doing a submission in the sense of part 1, part 2, and making them sound different enough and talk about different activities so that you might capture people willing to come for 2 parts but give them a break, or you might get people into one part or the other who wouldn't give you 2 hours. So that's another possible way to get lots of activities in without making a solid 2-hour commitment. Or if it really flows well for 2 hours, go for it.
Well, it looks like I actually may have pressed the wrong button, but I am going to go ahead and bring up the ending slides here regardless, even though I, for some reason, know that I pressed the wrong button, and I know that you can see, oh, nope, that I'm pressing all of the wrong buttons apparently, because I cannot find somehow I pressed the button that caused this to not go full screen, so somehow this is the one that you were supposed to see here. So I cannot see any of you here again, but are there any other last minute questions that I may be missing here? Okay then. So thanks again for participating in today's AMATYC webinar. And if you'd like to support future AMATYC webinars, please consider becoming a member of AMATYC if you are not already at bit.ly/join-AMATYC. Okay, and then please remember to follow along with AMATYC at facebook.com/AMATYC. And please remember that recordings of past AMATYC webinars can be found at bit.ly/AMATYC-webinars, and it could take us up to 1 to 2 weeks to produce and upload webinars to this archive, but I will try to get that there sooner for all of you so that you can share all of these great ideas from the webinar today with your colleagues before the February 1st conference proposal submission deadline. And then please remember to take 2 minutes to evaluate the webinar content and the presenters today. And the link is on your screen, and it should come up at the end of the webinar as well. And if you need email confirmation of your participation in this webinar, please fill in the optional section at the end of the evaluation, and your confirmation email with a participation certificate will come soon enough. Oh, and that was my last slide there. So let's see. Okay, so, well, that seems like that's all of the slides that I have for you here. So if I do see the chat here. Oh yes, I could hear typing, but I did not know who it was. So I couldn't call anyone out by name there since I did not know who it was. And I see a lot of other nice comments here. So I would like to thank all of the panelists here as well for the great webinar and all of the questions that were answered today. But all of the comments here are great. Just again, I know that the recording will be here, and if you want to actually reach out to any of the presenters individually, their emails were in the chat room as well. Oops. And it does look like there was a link in the chat for the the survey as well. Since I can't see a thing here, I can't really put that there myself, but I do appreciate that. I really don't know how to make this actually not be full screen like this, but oh, and I don't know what just happened there, so it looks like everyone seems to be trickling out. I mean, I don't know why you want to hear me just babbling on for another couple of minutes though, but so I am going to officially end the recording here. If I can find that button, I will.